Welcome our viewers at home today to another interesting episode of Insights from Eximators Legal. My name is Esther Martins and I'm your host today. So we've been treating business and the law as a theme in the past 2 weeks, and we're continuing in this series today. Last week we started the issue of intellectual property when it comes to your business. After you've registered your business, what do you do if your business requires trademark, or you want to protect your ideas or new inventions, or you want to protect your brand? We spoke about trademarks and we spoke about patents. That is important for you to register your designs, register your brand with the trademark registry. And we looked at that with particular emphasis of registration of trademarks and patents in Nigeria. Today we want to continue a bit in that series in line with intellectual property and dealing with another aspect of intellectual property which we call copyright. Copyright is and trademarks and patents, intellectual property generally, is something that is an international thing, and so intellectual property law is applicable in most jurisdictions of the world. So it's not something that is peculiar only to Nigeria, but because of the case study we're looking at, we want to look at overview of copyright law in Nigeria under our team, under the business and the law, because we'll be discussing business and the law, how you register companies in Nigeria, how a foreign company comes in to register in Nigeria. So what is copyright? What do we mean by protected? What are the items that you need to protect under copyright? So basically, copyright law, has certain three basic elements, generally and worldwide. So the three basic elements of copyright, originality, creativity, and what we term fixation. So copyright is a form of intellectual property law, and so is an aspect of intellectual property law, and it protects original works of authorship, including all your literary works, books, dramatic arts, creative substances like your musical works, artistic works, poetry, novels, movies, songs, computer softwares, even architectural designs. They could be copyrighted, under intellectual property law. And so if you're a business owner and you actually apart from inventing something, it might not be a new invention, but you wrote a book. You want to copyright that book. You made an artwork. You want to copyright your artwork. Those things are susceptible to being copyrighted. And in Nigeria, we have the Nigerian copyright law. Under the laws of the Federation of Nigeria, that permits the owner of a copyrighted works, to reproduce the work in any material form, publish the work, perform the work in public, produce, reproduce, and perform or publish any translation of the work or make any adaptation of the work, as the case may be, as long as you are the holder of the copyrighted work. So basically, we go straight into copyright laws in Nigeria. So how is copyright administered in Nigeria? A copyright, like we said, and we want to maybe give certain definition, just put a context to it. A copyright is an exclusive right that is given to the originator of a creative work, or to reproduce the work, for a certain period. Most of the time it's actually for a limited period. And copyright protects the works of authors, artists, songwriters, as we have enumerated earlier, music publishers, composers, photographers, and other creatives. So you see a lot of people in the creative arts industry, registering, their products their works. So when we say their products now, their works, with the Copyright Commission, in Nigeria. So the primary copyright law in Nigeria is the Copyright Act, of the Law of Federation of Nigeria, 2004. That's the CAP, Chapter C, 28. So the copyright is governed by this act, and the governing body or the government agency, is the Nigerian Copyright Commission. We call them the NCC. They are responsible for ensuring that all matters, relating to copyright in Nigeria are dealt with as provided for under the act, under the legislation, that oversees, the copyright of works of creatives in Nigeria. They monitor and supervise Nigeria's position, relating to the international standards, and advise the government on copyright works as it relates to what obtains, internationally, ensuring, that the administration of copyright in Nigeria also meets with international best practices, which is very, very important, because now we see even works of Nigerian songwriters, being used abroad, being heard on radios, even internationally. And so if these items, works are not copyrighted, then somebody else can steal the work and use it, and the person will not be in breach. So it's always very important. Your creative works, your creative acts, your books that you've written, your songs, your computer softwares, your apps, make sure you copyright it. So the Nigeria Copyright Commission also enlightens and informs the public on matters relating to copyright. They maintain an effective data bank on authors and their works. So it's very, very important, to know this. And these are, things that under the Act, the Copyright Act, that are also stipulated. So the Copyright Act provides that works that are eligible, for copyright protection in the country. So they list about 5 of them, being literary works. So when we say literary works, we mean the books, writings, your things that are in books, authored in journals, things like that. Musical works, so songs composed, written by songwriters, things like that. Artistic works, cinematograph works, and sound recording. So we see a lot of films, in the Nigerian market, that are already, registered with the Nigerian Copyright Commission, by the filmmakers, to ensure that nobody steals the right to those movies or films without recourse to the original owner. So Section 11 of the Copyright Act also provides that the owner of a copyright has certain rights to claim authorship of his work. So to object and seek relief in connection with any distortion, mutilation, or modification to their work. So the owner of a copyright could sue if there's any modification to his work by a third party, an unauthorized third party. So it should be noted that the law recognizes an author to include a person's heir, successors in title. So when we say successors in titles, we mean probably people that have rights by reason of the original owners of those works. So if somebody's heir, maybe somebody's family member, the person dies, is the one entitled to the estate of the person. Yes, those ones are also included as authors. So let's say somebody's father copyrighted the song. The children can use that song eventually after the father's demise. Even though the owner of the original copyright is their father, but because they are heirs and successors in title, to the estate of the original owner, they are also recognized as authors of the copyright work in that instance. So that should be noted. So where a work with subsisting copyright is published, printed, produced, or manufactured, there should be kept a register. With the Copyright Commission, there's always a register that shows the name of the author, the title, let's say, of a book or the song, the year of production, and the quantity of work produced. So all these are kept, by the Nigerian Copyright Commission, so that everybody knows and is glaring and is in the public space. If somebody wants to also go and copyright a particular work or a similar work, then they will say no, somebody else has this, and you cannot be infringing on the rights of the copyright owner. So a copyright is actually infringed on in a situation where somebody without the license or permission or authority of the owner of the copyright uses or causes the copyright work to be used. So a copyright holder whose right has been infringed could go to court and sue for damages or sue for an injunction, an interim injunction or a permanent injunction to stop a third party from using his work in an unauthorized manner. So these are reliefs available to copyright owners. You could sue for damages. Suing for damages means maybe you claim a lot of money and, pecuniary damages from the person that used the work in an authorized manner, or sue, for an injunction that the court should restrain the person from using that work going forward. So that's very, very important. So in Nigeria, the copyright law provides for several categories and duration of rights, and we're going to see that in the first schedule of the Copyright Act, which provides that in the case of literary, musical, or artistic works, such as photographs not included, copyright will be given for a period of 70 years after the end of the year in which the author dies. So, a book that has been copyrighted, musical, artistic works, apart from photographs, a copyright will be given for a period of 70 years after the end of the year in which the author dies. So where the work is created by body copyright, for instance, then the copyright will last for 70 years after the end of the year in which the work was first published. So there are certain technicalities here, and that is why it's always very important to consult an intellectual property lawyer or intellectual property consultant, when you want to deal with issues like copyright, patents, or trademarks, because there are technicalities there, and they can interpret the law, as well for you as a business owner or an entrepreneur that wants to copyright his work. So in the case of cinematography, in the case of films and photographs, the copyright will last for a period of 50 years after the end of the year in which the work was first published. When it comes to sound recordings, like we said, sound recordings are part of the things that could be copyrighted. So the copyright is also given for a period of 50 years after the end of the year in which the first recording was made. Where it is a broadcast, the copyright will last 50 years after the end of the year in which the broadcast first took place. So these are very important to note, and it's very, very instructive, especially in a situation where in a place like Nigeria, you feel okay, maybe you still have a laissez-faire attitude to these issues. However, the earlier you understand this, the better, because ignorance is not an excuse in law. Now things are getting more, people are getting more aware. It's not like 50, 20, 40 years ago when maybe people can just do the works and there's a lot of piracy in the markets. These days, piracy is not really allowed, as it were, because now people are more aware of the essence of copyright. So even things that people put on YouTube, I must say, those videos, they are liable to copyright. And you cannot just go and copy and steal. You'll be shocked. At times people feel, okay, you can just go on YouTube and just take somebody's work. Don't be deceived. Those works are actually being copyrighted. Those sounds are being copyrighted. And even you see, even in certain jurisdictions, that you can't use certain sounds. And I believe people that use Instagram, for instance, they must have noticed that if you post a song, maybe from another jurisdiction, and you are not allowed to use that song, let's say for instance in Nigeria, Instagram will flag it. So these are also part of the benefits of copyright works. And it helps, because if people are just allowed to use the work of people, others, anyhow, without permission, then the royalties that they have to get from being the original owners of those works they get to lose it. They lose profit. They lose income. They lose revenue. And so you can imagine somebody has put in work and brain and time that God has given him, to use on producing a creative work, not copyrighting it, not protecting that work, as it were legally under the law. Then somebody comes out from the blues, steals the work. Then the person loses all the revenue that should have accrued to him or her, by reason of that work. So please, it's very, very important that business owners, entrepreneurs, understand this aspect of commercial law. It's so that to protect their business. So it's not just enough to go and register in the company's house or register in the company's registry and you feel, my business is registered, okay, I'm paying tax, and that is it. How are you protecting your brand? How are you protecting your work? How are you protecting your ideas, your inventions? These are very, very important. So copyright registration, as we said, we've given an overview above, as we enumerated earlier, about how it's being done in Nigeria. You have to go to the Nigerian Copyright Commission, make sure you register your interest there. There's always a catalog of copyright works that have been registered. So if there's a work similar, it's not going to be permitted to be copyrighted. So you have to make sure that you get the right consultant that can help you, as a business owner, an entrepreneur, even as a creative arts person, who is interested in making sure that his work is protected. Get the right consultancy advice from the right intellectual property lawyers. Not all lawyers can do intellectual property work, and that's very, very important, to state here. So you need to understand there are people who understand that law, who understand the nitty-gritty of that law, who has relationship, even in those commissions. Because relationship also goes a long way, in making sure that certain things are also fast-tracked. So although the maker is automatically deemed to be the owner of the copyright, without registration, with or without registration, yes, you are the owner of the copyright, but registration provides you protection, irrespective of the copyright works. And it's evidence in first instance that there are conflicting rights when an authorized party uses it. When an unauthorized party uses it. So if somebody uses the work, if you don't register it, and you now go to court, the matter becomes dicey. Because it's an issue of, like we explained in the last episode, somebody who doesn't register his design and puts it in the market. The fact that you now register it maybe after 2-3 years and the item has been selling, people have seen the design all over the nation. Then you now go back to the trademark registry and you say you want to register. Yes, you register. They register for you because nobody else has registered it. But yet if somebody uses that same design, eventually, let's say 3 years, 5 years down the line, the truth of the matter is that second party would win the case, even though the original owner went to court. Because you have put your items in the market without registering the design in the first place. So somebody has seen it. So even before you even start putting your songs out, before you start putting your creative works out, it's always very important to ensure it's copyrighted, before it even goes into the market. And so it's evidence, in court where there are conflicting interests, conflicting rights. And by and large, the advantages and the merits of copyright registration, it includes the fact that you have an independent source of verifying data relating to your work or its author, to the general public. So if the work is already copyrighted, the copyright is registered, there's a source in which you can verify. That's the commission. You can always go. The general public can go. It's in public space. Whatever is in the commission, if you have an authority, you can go to the commission and say, yes, I want to check, is this work actually registered? And that's very, very important. So the copyright has to be registered. The fact that, yes, you are the owner or the maker of the work, yes, makes you the owner of the copyright. You are the one that owns the right to the copy. Let me put it literally, as it is. That yes, I'm the one that made this song. I wrote this song, I composed it. Yes, originally, I am the owner of that copyright. However, if it is not registered, it's what we're saying here. So the copyright laws gives you the right and the permission to register your copyright. That's very, very important. And there's a certificate, that is issued by the Nigerian Copyright Commission. So everyone that registers is copyright. So the acknowledgement certificate to the author, to the owner of the work, will also prove, and notify the commission of the work, as initial evidence or first-hand evidence of the facts that, yes, this work is already, copyright is already registered. So the commission, Nigerian Copyright Commission, also provides, a data bank to preserve original copies of works that are notified with them and registered with them. So the information and data contained in the copyright certificate and also in the commission offers reliable rights management information, to members of the public and prospective licenses to the work. So you have a license to use that work as the owner of that copyright when it's registered. So the Nigerian Copyright Commission, being the government agency in charge of copyrights, registrations are very crucial for the protection of your copyrights, as we've stated. And unlike patents and trademark, registration of copyrights will afford you, the owner of that copyright, protection worldwide. That is very, very key. Worldwide. So it doesn't matter. Let's take, for instance, a Nigerian songwriter has copyrighted his work in Nigeria. In America, somebody else can steal it. In New Zealand, somebody else can steal it. The person will be in breach, if the person uses the work without permission. So the owner of the copyright protection, the owner of the copyright registered, has protection across jurisdictions all over the world. And this is in accordance with what we call the Berne Convention for the protection of literary and artistic works. So these are, based on international best practices. So we see now that things are changing. We are now, it's not like the archaic world, where people are not enlightened and aware. Now people are more enlightened. A lot of things are being done in line with international standards, and whether it be it in Nigeria or in India or in Germany, some of these laws are the same across board. And if you register your copyright in Nigeria, it's going to be recognized in Europe, in Asia, in different continents of the world. So that's very, very instructive to note. So please, I want to appeal, to business owners, to entrepreneurs, to ensure that having registered your business, look into the various licenses that you need to get. How do you protect your brand, your intellectual property elements that you require, and get the right advice? This is really very important. So today we've been able to discuss in brief an overview of the copyright protection in Nigeria, and we believe that it's been an insightful and enlightening discourse, so far on this series. Thank you very much, and have a lovely weekend. Till next episode, God bless.